This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Will Jewelry and Loan. When you need cash and you need it fast, check out Will Jewelry and Loan. Come on in with your jewelry, firearms, electronics, tools, lawn equipment, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and even four-wheelers. They will beat any competitor's loan amount, and that's a fact. Will Jewelry and Loan guarantees faster and more cash for your loan than any other company in the area. They have your cash you need fast. Check them out today on their Facebook page or give them a call at 304-768-5101. Stop in and talk with them at 5523 McCorkle Avenue, Southwest, South Charleston, West Virginia. Will Jewelry and Loan, 304-768-5101. All right, guys, welcome to another segment here live from Kate's Mountain Lodge here in Greenbrier, West Virginia. We're up here at the Greenbrier Resort. We're promoting this wild and wonderful hunting, fishing, and conservation expo that you're going to be having here in September of this year, September 2023, 22nd through the 25th. And right now we have one of our good friends, pro staffer here with Nature's Voice Game Calls, Caleb Currence. Caleb, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. And I got Dave Young here, production guy, and I got co-host Dan Hall here with me. So,
how you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. So, talking about this morning, Caleb, tell us a little bit about the hunts that we done this morning.
Well, it started very early.
It did.
it started really early.
You're working on about 3 hours of sleep, Eric?
Yeah. I think we all are, though. But
right.
I mean, like you said, you were building mouth calls at like 1 in the morning. So.
Building mouth calls at 1:20. I think I texted you, didn't I?
Yeah, I was asleep. I was a zombie.
Yeah.
But I woke up at 3 and was like, oh. That sucks.
Yeah.
It's like I thought I had it rough.
I woke up at 4, and then I set another alarm for 4:05 or something like that, and I was like, oh, my God, is it really already time to get up?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and typically I'm really excited to go turkey hunting, but after 48 hours, 3 hours of sleep.
Well, it's been a busy week.
It's been super busy.
We've got a ton of things going on here, so just hit on that if you don't care. Hit on what we've got going on here and, what started all this.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been doing some turkey hunts, as you kind of mentioned already. I think we had 4 or 5 groups. I don't know. Whenever I put in the lunches, we had like 20 people out like in the turkey woods this morning.
Awesome.
That's guides, cameramen, and actual shooters. And then we had, I believe it was 4 boats on the river.
Wow.
So, and then I think we had a few guys here doing some fly fishing.
Actually doing some fly fishing. Yeah. We're going to try to get them on here before they leave.
Yeah.
They're sitting right over here. So, hey guys, we're getting ready to have you on.
they're over there looking at turkey calls.
Yeah. The fly fishing guys, can y'all hear me over there? Y'all getting ready to come up here, so be ready.
Colton and his wicked sunburn.
Over there talking about turkey calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of wicked sunburn, it definitely got hot today.
It did.
Yeah. It did, and that's definitely not what we wanted.
I shedded the thermal shirt really quick this morning. Yeah. I was like, good Lord.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you had a thermal on to begin with.
Well,
it was already warm.
Yeah.
It wasn't when we left.
I started out really light with like just one of the Nomad like breathable turkey shirts, and I was pretty good all day, but
so did y'all strike up any birds today?
So we got out on the point kind of where I knew a bird had been staying. I didn't know if he was roosting on that point or, kind of off one side of the drain or the other, because it kind of wise off and that point's in the middle. So I was like, well, that's a good spot to kind of listen and get our feet under us. And sure enough, it took him a little bit to gobble. He didn't gobble till almost 6:30.
Wow. We
heard 2 distant gobbles way, like, I don't know, in Canada or something. they were like out there.
Yeah.
And
out there or down there in the bottom.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of the birds today was in the bottom.
Yeah, they're loving creeks right now.
Yeah.
Drains, creeks.
Well, it's starting to get hotter. They're needing that water.
Yeah.
And, you know,
absolutely.
And there's a lot more cover down there by the creeks too.
You're right.
A lot of laurel. You know, and if you'll notice, a lot of the pines are down by the creeks as well, or just up off of the creek.
Well, that's a good thing to mention because, like, on our way up here, we were talking about down in Charleston, where we're from. It's green down there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got foliage everywhere.
Oh, it's full.
And you start coming up here, and you don't have anything like that.
It's wide. It's just wide open hardwoods, and it's hard to hunt turkeys in that, and hard to move on turkeys in that.
Well, that and like you're talking about the creeks, you know, we walked down through past a creek on mine, so it's wide open. You know, they had the benefit of seeing for a good distance.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But no. After we heard the bird gobble once, the bird that we were in there to hunt, he gobbled one time on the limb, and then we kind of moved down a little lower to get a little bit better kind of judgment on where he was. Was he on our side or the other side of the holler? And he was on our side, but he gobbled twice. Just gobble, double gobbled, and I actually didn't hear it. Jason heard it, and we just kind of froze there for a minute, and he pulled out his trumpet, hit that trumpet, and we could hear a hen. Yak, yak, yak. And he's like, well, we're going to sit here and play the waiting game and just see.
That's nice.
Be patient, and we kind of set up right there. We had a pretty good setup, and we waited on him for over an hour, and the bird never gobbled again. We scratched around in the leaves, sounded like a turkey, cluck, purr, whine. We got a little aggressive as it kind of went on, but just no interest, and that's kind of what I've been seeing a lot of here in the past 3-4 days. Kind of at the end of Virginia's first week, I've noticed that the birds are really starting to the gobbling isn't as good as it was, and that might be pressure. I don't think it's as much pressure on the West Virginia birds, but the weather doesn't help either. I mean, we just went from a 30-degree temperature drop and high winds.
You've had that change in weather.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
We're only 4 days into the season right now. So, well, of course, we had youth season there started on Saturday, but 4 days in and they've already gone silent.
Yeah, and it'll pick up. Week at the end of the second week, it's going to be a good time to be in the turkey woods. You're going to kill a lot of, and I would rather I like later in the season personally.
Really?
You can move on turkeys a lot better. There's more foliage. Yep. And then typically most of your hens are really sitting on nests 9:30. So it's a lot easier to work a turkey that's lost his loved one, what I'm saying? And and later in the seasons when you kill those long spurt turkeys, I mean, those are the ones, we always dream about. I mean, I'm never going to complain about a hard gobbling 2-year-old. But, but I'll take whatever the good Lord will bless me with. But, but yeah, I love the later season hunt.
Yep. So you actually have that lonesome hen yelp that you can do during that time.
Yep.
And that'll draw them gobblers right in.
Yep. And a lot of times you pair that up with just, like you said, a lone hen decoy. Yep. You don't have to worry about putting a Jake.
Don't put the Jake there.
Right.
Yep.
Just a lone hen and
breeder hen, something like that.
Yeah. He's love struck at first sight.
Yep, definitely.
So.
All righty. Well, I think we've got Jason Hart coming in next. He is the director of community marketing at Mossy Oak. He's also the co-founder of Huck Fishing and Nomad Hunting. So we got him coming up next. What did you want to say, Dan?
Did you want to talk to him a little bit more about the Wild and Wonderful Expo?
Yeah, just tell us a little bit more about the Expo, what's going to be going on actually at the Expo. And, this is the media days. This is kind of like the promotional part of it for the show. And I'm just going to tell you guys right now, you all have done a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
With planning this and all the events that's went on. I mean, Hunt Chef has been here, and he's cooked some phenomenal food. The Greenbrier's actually catered some phenomenal food. I mean, if you all have not had a chance to try the Prime 44 West restaurant, that place is by far the best place I've ever ate in my life.
Yeah.
Those lobster mashed potatoes. Did you try those?
Oh, my gosh.
I told you.
Those are the best I've ever had in my life.
And it's not only a restaurant, it's like a commemorative museum.
Yeah.
Me and Dave, the producer here, was talking about who's going to be willing to give up their rings. Those probably aren't replicas sitting in that case.
Those are probably legit.
They look legit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Jerry West, he's a great man.
Yeah, he is.
Mountaineer. Once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah, I got that was awesome because, like you was talking, it took me probably a good 25 minutes to get to the table because
I know, I was looking at all the stuff, and I was like,
in there, it's like,
good
oh my
Lord.
God, this is all his memorabilia. This is all his stuff he actually wore, and put on.
But you know
It was
what's
awesome.
funny is like you're going around and you're taking all them pictures, and there's nobody looking at you like you're crazy because everybody does it when they come to the restaurant. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, with these media days, we want everybody, we want you all to see what we have to offer.
yes,
And that's from dining, that's from activities,
Yeah. Sure.
hunting, fishing, and that's what we're really trying to get with the expos. We want everybody to see not only what the Greenbrier has to offer, but we want to support the local community as well. Look at what West Virginia has to offer
yeah.
as
Sure.
a state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greenbrier County.
not to interrupt you, but you can hear the
I
shooting
just-
club
yeah.
in the
You-
background.
You beat me to it, Mike.
Yeah.
I was
The
literally
shooting
going to
club
say,
is on fire today.
Yeah.
if you want to hear what they have to offer, just
Yeah.
listen in the
Yeah.
background.
Listen
You
in the
got the
background.
guns shooting
You've
in the
got the
back.
clay targets that you can shoot with Beretta shotguns,
Yeah.
or is it Benelli?
I
Benelli.
think we have Berettas up there.
Okay.
Yep, we've got Berettas.
I didn't know if it was Beretta or Benelli. So
But yeah, I mean, the idea of the whole idea behind the expo is to let people try before they buy.
yes, definitely.
Right. So it's not like you come in and everyone's just trying to sit and just sell you a bunch of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there are going to be booths, but it's like Quiet Cat. Quiet
Right,
Cat sent us bikes.
Yes.
And like we're going to do some hunting off their bikes and stuff. And fishing trips off their
And
bikes.
we get a chance to try those out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
that,
Yeah,
I've been
that's-
wanting to try one.
Yeah.
I've been looking at them.
Yeah, you can ride one right after this.
I'm
I mean,
game.
they're right there. And,
they're sitting right out front.
and but they're gonna have like a little track and or trail set up here for the expo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like you're gonna get like a seminar on all the features, and then they're gonna be like, all right,
Yeah.
let's ride, and you get to test it out. Like, what better way to like realize, yeah, we want this, I want this or I don't,
Yeah.
than using the equipment, and that's the whole idea behind the expo.
That's a major selling point.
oh, it's great.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing that you all are trying to incorporate and do that I have not seen in any other trade shows other than the archery trade show, the ATA.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
shoot,
maybe the SHOT Show.
Yeah.
The SHOT Show I know does different things with the ranges and stuff like that to where you can shoot different guns.
Yeah.
And the ATA, you can actually shoot bows.
Yep.
But other than that, all these other companies that are there, you're not able to actually try their products out.
Yeah.
So another company that you all had was
We've got Brio Grills.
Brio, okay.
Yeah, and they're actually sponsoring our Wild Game Cook-Off.
Okay.
So that's something that's going to happen. And the way it's looking is there's going to be a Wild Game Cook-Off earlier in the summer, and then the finalists will compete head-to-head at the expo.
Oh, no
Right?
way.
Yeah. So you'll get to see these grills, which I know you guys have seen them. Hunt Chef's been cooking on them, and man, they're great. Super, super great. I believe it's like 80 or 90% less smoke with
Yeah.
Brio.
Okay.
And they've got like travel grills that you can literally, they're tri-fuel, so you can do pellets, charcoal, or wood, and they just pack down. You can put them in your truck.
Nice.
And super light. So Brio, like, they're another one. They just was like, hey, here's some grills. Check these out, and along with the Quiet Cats, we're really looking forward to being able to showcase these products, and they're products that have been hand selected by the guides, and by our team. So it's going to be really, really cool, and we're excited for it.
That's awesome.
Yep. Good
So
deal.
how many, I mean, you're talking about there's not going to be a whole lot of vendors, but there still will be some, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone's gonna want to set up booths, and there's gonna be guns floating around everywhere,
Sure.
and displays and stuff like that. It's not gonna be like as outfitter heavy as a lot of trade shows. It's gonna be more of gear,
Sure.
and it's and product, and because I mean that's right before bow season opens,
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
so.
Is it before or is it during?
I think it's
I'm trying
the
to
week.
think.
I think it's the weekend before.
Okay.
Weekend before, yeah, I think so.
Is it?
I think
Okay.
yeah. So, but yeah, I just can't say enough good things about like what's coming with this expo, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From here right now.
This is the first year for it, so.
Yeah. So it's the
Yep.
first year for it, and with the Greenbrier, I mean, we've hosted the PGA in the past.
Yeah.
We've got Live coming this year. It's not our first rodeo as far as big events
Big
go.
events, right, yeah.
But it is our first rodeo in the aspect of
In the outdoor
hunting.
industry.
Yeah, in the outdoor industry. And
Sure.
But
and-
just like your community director up there was saying, and the public relations guy, this has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yes,
there's too
absolutely.
much opportunity
Yeah.
here in
Yeah.
West Virginia and at the Greenbrier alone for it
Yeah.
not to happen.
Yeah, I mean, look at it.
There's so
I
much
mean,
public
like
land
first-
close.
all of that mountain is Greenbrier property.
Yes.
All of that mountain is Greenbrier property. And then surrounding that is national forest.
Yep.
National Forest, yeah.
Perfect public hunting.
Can't beat
So,
it.
like, the first night we was here was Wednesday night, and we come in and we had a tying on event, and
And Dave tied it on.
that was amazing. Dave tied one, and it actually looked better than everybody else's. So, no, my son
that's
actually
not-
did good too.
Yeah.
Trevor's was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor's was. Mine looked good. Mine turned
But you know,
out
I
good.
really
That's
enjoyed
not
that.
what Archie said, but whatever.
Well, he lied to me in my face.
He's trying to make you feel good. Dude, I'm just kidding.
As long as he made me feel good.
and Archie,
Hey, you know what? As
he
long as
went
it's
out
gonna
and
catch
caught a
it.
fish.
Yeah, he caught a fish. They filmed it.
We're standing out there.
Yeah.
And
we're
it was
just,
a nice one.
Yeah,
We're just
it was
talking
real
and
nice.
gathering around, and he's out there fly fishing and catches a nice rainbow.
Yeah. You get Archie around a creek too long, he's going to be like, he's going to fish. He's
That's
gonna-
awesome, man.
So-
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really liked the tying on event.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
nice.
it was nice.
But
I
we're-
mean, it kind of reminds me with the press, the mouth call press, and the different tools that I use to do those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it is a little different.
Yeah.
Because you're having to use your left hand for a lot of things, and I'm not used to that. So
Yep.
I was like, can I flip this thing around? He was like, well, if you do, you're going to have to use your right hand on the wrong side.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you think about that, and like the way you stack hair, and you you know you can tie it in,
Yeah.
can completely change the dynamic of the fly, the
Yeah.
presentation. So it's really meticulous.
It is.
You know?
See, I used to do it. I've gotten out of it over the years because I just haven't had the time to fly fish like I used to. But when I lived in PA for a while, that's when I started learning. When I was a kid, I started learning to tie my own flies.
Yeah.
Because I was fly fishing for them steelheads.
Oh, yeah.
Continuously, man. You talk about fun.
Oh, yeah.
Hit them steelheads on a fly rod. But then I got away from it. I still trout fish heavily as much as I can.
I
But-
love to trout fish.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite fish. It really is. Most of the time I release them, but
I eat
if
it.
I'm camping, I'll keep them.
Oh, absolutely.
I eat every one of them I can catch.
Yeah.
he's like no remorse. They're good eating.
If you're going to put them back, give them to me. I'll take them home grilled.
That's right. Yeah. And you know what?
I put some of that Hunt Chef seasoning on there, and oh my
Hold on.
Lord.
Hope you brought your spurs because it's getting western.
There you go.
That's right.
Straight out of Pontchartrain.
Hey, that's right. You got to eat what you kill.
Yep. That's right.
But yeah, I'll tell
All
you
right.
what. We smoke that trout, make a trout dip out of it.
Oh,
man,
I've heard smoked fish dip is really,
smoked
really
fish
It is
dip
really good.
Amazing.
like I've heard.
Yep.
I've never had it, but I've heard it's really, really good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's amazing. The Hunter's Choice,
Hunter's choice. Yeah.
they make one. They're at about every trade show. They'll be at the Wild and Wonderful Expo, I'm sure.
sure, yeah.
But they make the smoked trout dip, and
They're breaking out into all kinds of stuff.
it's
now.
so phenomenal.
He's
I'm gonna
making
have
this.
To, I'm gonna have to
Their
give that a
smoked
go.
trout alone is like,
Oh, man.
amazing. He gave us some when we was at our last trade show, and we were sitting there, and that was my lunch.
Yeah.
I ate the whole fillet.
Yeah,
With crackers.
I couldn't get a bite.
That's awesome.
Michael was like a freaking vulture
Yeah.
over there.
Growling at you.
He was growling. It
You
sounded like
set it in front of me, it's gone.
Well, honestly, though, what I do, I bought one of his trout fillets. I'll take it home, and I'll make my own trout dip.
Ah,
I'll buy his as well, you know.
Yeah.
But I take that home, and my wife's like,
Put your own spin
I
on
can,
it.
I can make that.
He
We'll put our own
mentioned
spin on it.
he mentioned that to him, and then he was like, "What? You trying to put me out of business?"
I said, I ain't never putting you out of business.
Yeah.
I can't catch enough.
They've got that recipe down pat. They make that
They do.
stuff in big old freaking.
He's making cheese
mixers
balls now.
dialed
Oh, man.
in.
Yeah, they do.
Dialed
They
in.
got a
Trout
dialed in.
cheese balls, trout dip, you name it.
I'm gonna
Jerky.
have to try this.
You're gonna have to try it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's well worth trying.
It is.
I'm gonna have to get this.
Good
Get this
people.
And
contact
they're out of
information.
Shady Springs.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
They are.
They're local
Sure
to
are.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
I can be in Shady Spring like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get this contact.
Yep. I'll hook you up.
Actually,
brother.
I need to go
got
to
you.
Shady anyhow because there's a guy down there I need to talk to.
You are a little shady, anyways.
Well, yeah, I am. But he does Cerakote, and I just built me a new AR. I want to Cerakote it.
There you go.
So the best one in the state apparently is in Shady Springs.
Well, hey,
Let's get Jason Hart on here before he leaves. He looks like he's wanting to leave.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. Caleb, we thank you, brother.
all right. Thank you, Mike.
We appreciate you, man.
thank you.
We're going to do a little ad here from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back with Jason Hart, the director and community marketing there at Mossy Oak.
So another thing we always like to do on our podcast here is our salute to valor. And tonight we're going to salute Caleb Currence. He's from Beckley, West Virginia. He was in the Army for 7 years, where he was a second lieutenant in the 119th Snapper Company. He trained in Poland and Georgia.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. I was giving Caleb a little bit of crap because most lieutenants you talk to are in the field with, as a grunt myself.
Yeah.
They have trouble with the land nav courses, and
Oh,
the whole
okay.
land navigation.
Yeah.
So, I was giving him a little crap. He said, I was one of the special ones. I said, you know what? I believe you. I've seen you in the woods.
Yeah.
And all that. So.
He does well in the woods, and, he's one of our guides up here this weekend, and, he does an amazing job. So,
Yeah, he definitely does.
Caleb, we sure appreciate your service to our great country, and we thank you, sir.
Yep, we appreciate it. Thanks, Caleb.
Yep.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Ghost 802, a sports team based in Vermont. Their goal is to promote safe and ethical hunting and to raise the youth to share the same passion for the archery, hunting, and the outdoors as they did growing up. For more information, check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let them know that you heard about them right here on the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls.
All right, guys, welcome to another segment here on the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. We're here live at the Kate's Mountain Lodge here in the Greenbrier Valley, Greenbrier, West Virginia, Greenbrier County, at the Greenbrier.
Spit it out.
Greenbrier, Greenbrier. That's all we've done. I mean, it's like
You'd
this
think you'd
is-
have it down pat by now. But
well,
you
I'm just so
stumbling over your words.
starstruck here because everything is so awesome. I mean, this place.
No, it is. They put together one heck
This
of a
place
show.
is phenomenal, So right now we got Jason Hart, which is the director of community marketing at Mossy Oak, and he's also the co-founder of Huck Fishing and Nomad Hunting. Jason, how you doing, sir?
Doing fine. Having a great time here in the lovely hills of West Virginia.
Yeah, and you're originally from West Virginia.
Yes, I was born in Charleston, West Virginia. My entire family's from Lincoln County, and when I was born, my family lived in Winfield, West Virginia.
Wow.
So yes,
Well, that's our neck of the
You're
woods.
in
so
my backyard because I'm from Cross Lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. I moved. My family moved. My mom and dad moved to South Carolina when I was 8 years old, and so I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. But I spent my summers in West Virginia on my Uncle Wayne's farm, hanging out with my cousin David. So my accent makes me sound like I'm from somewhere in Fort Worth, Texas, because it's a combination of West Virginia and the low country of South Carolina.
All right. There you go.
Because when I come to West Virginia, they're like, man, you're from way down in the South. And when I'm in my hometown, people are like, my God, you sound country. So, yeah, it's, I got quite the diversity in my accent somehow. So
That's funny. So tell us a little bit how you got started in all this stuff that you're in.
Well, long story. It's actually a long story, but I went to.
We got plenty of time.
I grew up hunting in South Carolina and fell in love with turkey hunting at a young age, and deer hunting. And back when you're in middle school, or at least when I was in middle school, they told you to do something what you love to do. And
Right.
I like to hunt, so the only way when you go off to college, the only thing that I thought that could take me hunting was a degree in wildlife biology.
Okay, yeah.
Little did I know that wildlife biologists with undergrad degrees don't make a whole lot of money. I wish somebody would told me if you like to hunt, you need to be in finance or a doctor or lawyer or something so you can afford to go all kinds of cool places. But anyhow, I went to Clemson and realized after about about 3 years that I was not very good at statistics, so I was probably not going to get my master's, and that I need to figure out how to do something. And long story short, I knew I wanted to be in the hunting industry, and got a minor in marketing while I was at Clemson. And my first job out of college was with Avery Outdoors, and that led me to becoming a pseudo deer biologist, and with a group that's no longer. It merged with another group. It's called the Quality Deer Management Association.
I was just getting ready to mention that. Yeah.
So I was a pseudo deer biologist and helped throw events and fundraisers there, and then got recruited by an up and coming company out of Baltimore, Maryland, that was getting in the hunting industry called Under Armour. So I was the first hire for Under Armour's Hunt Fish side, and that was a pretty wild, fun ride for 7.5 years. And
I bet it was.
Got really homesick, missing the South, living in downtown Baltimore, Maryland, and went to work with a bunch of friends at Mossy Oak brand camo. And while I was there, we came up with the grand idea of starting a T-shirt company on the fishing side of the business, because there wasn't much of a market for bass fishing. And so two of my old coworkers at Under Armour, one which was an old fraternity brother of mine at Clemson, and another, his older brother, we all went to Clemson together, decided to start a company. And our first brand was Hook, which is spelled H-U-K, a performance fishing company. And then while we went to look for investors, we thought that the hunting side was bigger, so I had to come up with a brand for hunting, and that was Nomad. So
that's awesome.
So that was pretty wild, and those brands took off a lot bigger than we ever imagined.
So how are those things birthed? Is that something you just sat and come up with, or?
Well, I'll tell you exactly. So
because we were sitting there talking about this on the Limb podcast, and we're thinking, man, what is our logo going to look like? Different things like that.
Man, it's tough.
We're a game call company.
Yeah, no, it's tough, and there's so many in the hunting space and the fishing space. There's so many different things trademarked. And I get this question asked a lot of times, and one of my original business partners, Ben Verner, we wanted to come up with a fishing brand that all anglers had something in common. And the one thing they have in common is a fishing hook.
Yep.
So we went to trademark the word H-O-O-K. And it was trademarked.
Oh yeah, sure.
So we simply looked at the dictionary, and the phonetic pronunciation of the word hook is H-U-K. It's pronounced hook. It's not pronounced hook. So we came up, and so about 90% of the people that buy a Hook shirt mispronounce it and call it Huck.
Right, absolutely.
And I argued with my original business partner, and I said, you know what, this is never going to fly. Everybody's going to mispronounce it. It's not going to do. He goes, all right. He goes, how familiar are you with the surf brand Ruka? I said, man, I ain't never heard of the surf brand Ruka. I don't surf like you do. Yeah, well, he said, have you ever seen anybody in a mall or airport wearing a shirt that says RVCA? I was like, yeah, that brand of T-shirts. He goes, no, that's Ruka, dude. You didn't get it. You're not in surfing. I'm like,
okay.
So long story short, he was very much right. And then I was tasked with coming up with a brand name for a hunting brand, and we wanted to start a hunting brand with the main focus on whitetails, because back then, 10 years ago, there was all these great companies getting in the waterfowl side of the business, and waterfowl was about the time Duck Dynasty was hitting its peak, and everybody wanted to be in. So we realized there wasn't anybody building a really great deer brand for affordable products. So we wanted to come up with just a flat-out hunting brand that was going to be different than our Hook brand. And so I came up with a name, and I better not say it on here, because somebody might take it and make a really cool brand out of it.
But don't do that.
We would take it to investors and really smart guys that didn't understand hunting, and guys that went to Stanford and Harvard, and they didn't understand the meaning of the name. So we're like, all right, we need to simplify this. So I was in back. It's been 2013. So it's literally been 10 years ago this month. I was working for Mossy Oak brand camo. We were moonlighting, starting this brand, and I had quit. I had not quit my job yet, but I got a call from my business partners telling me I needed to quit my job today. Because one of our former employees found out that we had started this through our SEC filing. Oh, and they said, you need to let your bosses know before they hear it through the grapevine. I said, yeah, I do. Well, that same day, my lease was up on my apartment in Daniel Island, South Carolina, and I had flown in the night before from a hunting trip in Nebraska and was flying out that night going to Wyoming. and I had been living out of my suitcase for about 3 weeks turkey hunting, and I was in the shower shaving my head, contemplating quitting my job and finding a new place to live and starting new brands. And I said, this nomad lifestyle is whooping my ass. And I went, nomad. So I jumped out of the shower, butt naked, sent a text message to my 3 business partners. I'm like, what about nomad? And they looked up the definition, and it was short for nomadic hunter. Really the first person to leave the cave. So that's how nomad came about.
That's awesome.
And then the brand got really big, and I'm still a small shareholder of the company. It's owned by a large private equity firm as the majority owner. And anyhow, the long story short, went back and forth, went back to Mossy Oak and went back there. Anyhow, back in October of last year, the Hayes family, Neil and Daniel Hayes and another friend of mine, Jess Rayleigh, who work at Mossy Oak, asked me if I'd come back to in a marketing role. So that's where I am today. So that's I'm rather long-winded, so I apologize.
No, you're fine.
great.
Like
That's
I said,
great.
we've got all day. I mean,
Yeah, because that's where I
this
was
is so
gonna actually
interesting.
Ask you if you being a shareholder still affects your relationship with Mossy Oak.
No, not at all. Yeah, I'm such a small shareholder. With that being said, if I go on the Stash website, I can be a shareholder of Coca-Cola or Hershey or anything.
Yeah.
So no,
Yeah.
I have no influence whatsoever. So.
That's cool.
And Mossy Oak has numerous great partners in the apparel world. So yeah, it's obviously I keep my eye on the brand because I helped start it and I wish them well, but I have no influence nor power. But they are a great customer of Mossy Oak, as we have many others, such as Scent Blocker and Scent Lock and Drake and Old Tom and the Shin brand. I mean, the list goes on and on that the Mossy Oak works with, and Mossy Oak's got a ton of great licensees that we work with.
yeah. Awesome. So that's how you all use that. Y'all just license that now, right? For Nomad.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's how the business works. When you have a brand, let's take for example a brand like Drake or Bandit or anything. Yes, they license from Mossy Oak or various other camouflage companies out there, and that's kind of how the business works. So,
Now is that a yearly thing or is that a one-time fee?
It depends.
You can work it out either way.
Yeah, it depends. I used to work on the licensing side of Mossy Oak. I don't anymore, but yeah, it's typically they typically renew contracts and things like that, and it's a lot of times it's based on. I get the question asked a lot in apparel. A lot of times it's done by the yard.
Okay.
By how many yards you use of a particular camouflage fabric, and it's paid in royalty, or it's paid as a percentage of wholesale, just depending on the product. And you can put camouflage on a lot of different things, from sunglasses to phone cases to potato chip bags to boats to everything. And so the licensing structure for a blind or a boat is very different from a bag of potato chips or a drink or something.
So everything
else.
has its own little like area.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And I'm out of that side of the business with Mossy Oak, but it is still, without a doubt, that's part of the deal. One of the gentlemen here, who's part of this Greenbrier hunt, Mr. Jim Crumley, the founder of Tree Bark Camouflage, is the one that started that entire process of licensing camouflage. I think Timberland Boots and Columbia Sportswear were two of his first customers, followed by PSE, which you can confirm with Jim, but he is quite the
that's crazy.
He's quite the encyclopedia on. He started licensing camouflage before anybody had done it. And he has pretty cool stories.
So is there requirements with those licensings? Like, do they get a say in what you can put it on?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Everything's vetted, and for example, and I would imagine that most of the major camouflage companies, like Mossy Oak, we're not going to put our camouflage on something that would not be family appropriate.
Sure.
And you can think of a lot of different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure over the years, everything under the sun has been asked. And,
I'm sure
this is a family radio show, so I can't talk about the ideas that people have passed my way that just wouldn't make sense. You don't want to, if you have a camouflage company such as Mossy Oak, you don't want to put your brand on something that doesn't respect the same values that the company does.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Absolutely. So you talking about that Quality Deer Management Association. We have Jason Webb, which works for Capital Advocates, LLC, and he's a lobbyist in Charleston, and he does a lot of work with the Quality Deer Management Association.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So he's the one that helped get Sunday hunting passed in West Virginia.
Very cool.
He's the one that kind of helps out with scents and different lures and things like that in different states to keep hunters able to use those, and where they're not going to outlaw deer urine and different things. He's kind of like Tink 69's lobbyist.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we have him on the show every now and then as we have it's like a legislative session or segment that we do for different legislative things that's changing here in West Virginia, and they just had their legislative session. So
we actually just talked.
There's a ton of stuff in the background that people don't realize that's out there.
No, absolutely, and like I said, my background's in wildlife biology and working for QDMA for 3.5 years. It's now the QDMA during COVID. Formed with another group called the NDA that's now known as the National Deer Association.
Yes.
The NDA they use the QDMA's logo, but a little different, but it's still, they still do a lot of advocacy and conservation education, which on the deer side, it's not so much conservation as it is, managing the deer herd.
Yeah, right.
A deer population isn't as fragile as, say, a turkey population. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, it was a cool time. I learned a lot, and I met some of the best minds in deer biology, some of the legends in the deer biology world during my time there, and it's pretty cool. A lot of my friends that were classmates of mine at Clemson University have moved up in the ranks and are now, pretty well-known deer biologists all over the country. So,
awesome.
It was neat. Although I've not been a biologist, I know enough to have some good trivia in deer camps or turkey camps wherever it goes. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you know Dr. Davin Henderson from Colorado State University?
I do not.
Okay. So he was one of the ones that was heading up the research on the
chronic wasting disease. I know of it. I know a lot of that was done at Colorado State University. Actually, when I worked for QDMA, I was a member of a small hunting club of University of Georgia deer biologist, and we hunted on a lady's property by the name of Sally Dame. She was a really neat lady. She was in the taxidermy business, and she'd raise fawns for University of Georgia and for Colorado State. And these fawns would walk around us in these hunting camps, and they were some of the fawns that were getting injected with CWD for educational purposes.
Nice. Okay.
So I know a little bit. I was back when I worked for QDMA was when chronic wasting disease hit Wisconsin.
Yep.
And that's when things went nuts. I mean, it was wild in the state of Wisconsin that year.
Yeah, it was bad.
And it was and it's still
it is.
People don't they've learned a lot about, and again, I'm by no means have I kept up with the research over the last 20 years, but 20 years ago was when it really hit America in a big way, when Wisconsin got infected, and it was crazy. It was the biggest news in the deer world, and it definitely's changed, and there's still not a lot known how it spread, or if it's it's here forever. Is it everywhere? We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns about chronic wasting disease, and the folks that are, and like I said, I'm by no means one that is educated well enough to speak on it, but there's some really smart people out there studying it. And yes, it's in most states. I know in my home state of South Carolina, my old fraternity brother Jay Cantrell is our state deer, bear, and turkey biologist, and we don't have any confirmed cases in South Carolina yet. But I know that South Carolina is doing a lot for education to if you don't have it, you definitely want to keep it out. So
absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah.
So he's one of the one that invented that RT Quick testing for CWD.
Oh yeah, used by a lot of state agencies.
It's basically the same testing that they're doing now for COVID, but they do that within deers.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting.
I mean, and that was out before COVID, obviously.
Yeah,
but
sure. Yeah, that's been 20
isn't it crazy
years.
that they use that same testing on humans now for COVID?
Well, that's crazy.
That's nuts.
Absolutely crazy.
It's just crazy how everything evolves together like that.
Oh yeah,
that COVID's a whole other issue though. So
it is.
We'll skip on that.
COVID's done.
Thank goodness.
It's gone. All right, Jason. So we got one more question. Co-founder of Maralina Outdoors Incorporated. Is that something new?
No. Marilina Outdoors.
Maralina.
So that was that parent company of
that was
the Hook and Nomad brands,
and
then we also had one other company that we had two other brands. We had a brand that did not take off that we had liked in the apparel world called Spanish Fly, which we licensed from the estate of Jose Wahebe, who was a very well-known saltwater legend and had a very popular TV show in the early 2000s. He was killed in a plane crash. Really cool guy. we had that brand that we launched the same time as Hook, and it's like I said, that was an established brand, and it just did not, from an apparel side, didn't take off. But
Okay.
his daughter is still running their foundation. It's a great deal, and then we were basically stickballing and coming up with a bunch of different brands because of some of our time at Under Armour. We realized that it was very there were some markets that if we would have we would try to sell Under Armour to a very upper end fly fishing shop in Montana.
Yeah.
And those customers, knew Under Armour for basketball and football, and it didn't.
Sports
And they said,
performance,
and I remember going in there. They're like, "Man, we sell our product to 60-year-old millionaires. We're not selling it to high school kids playing football and baseball and basketball." So we realized back then, that's why when we started Maryland Outdoor Incorporated, that we wanted to market our brands very differently.
Yeah.
Because the fishing side, the hook side of the business is, at that time we were marketing to saltwater fishermen and bass fishermen. And although I think the statistics, something like 93% of all hunters fish, not that big of a percentage of fishermen hunt. So, we marketed the Nomad brand very different, and we put our stake in the ground that this was very much a pro hunting brand. But we just wanted to separate it because, different things. And then, at that time, which obviously the companies, we're no longer the four founders in majority control, but, we established that parent company in case we wanted to get in other categories. It's, the Hook brand was fantastic, and a lot of people are like, why don't you take the Hook brand to golf or to hunting? It's like, well, it doesn't
work
fishing.
there.
Yeah, it's fishing.
Yeah.
So that's why
I
we
never
established
used a hook in golf.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, I
guess
you could if you wanted to catch your balls back that you hit in the water holes.
Exactly.
Or if you just want to fish in the ponds, because they usually have pretty good bass.
Yeah. Well, on another note, I'm going to ask y'all a question. I didn't get a whole rundown on y'all's morning. How was it?
Well, our morning was, kind of crazy. We started out at 4:15 or something like that, and we got in the woods about 5. I mean, it took us about 35 minutes to get to where we was at. We get in, and we find, there's so much sign out. We seen a ton of sign in the area that we were in, but we struck off a owl hooter this morning, never got an answer back from a turkey. Now, we had owls answering back to us all morning.
See, we had an owl fly over us.
Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Nice.
We did. It was cool.
But, we couldn't hear a gobbler, like Caleb said, from here to California. So,
we heard a few. And what's crazy is that's turkey hunting. It was. I heard widespread reports from different friends in this part of West Virginia. They didn't hear any gobbling. It wasn't because they weren't there. We heard too.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't answer any owls. They wouldn't answer any calls, and they were there. They were just not in the mood to talk. But
See, my morning was different.
Like Caleb was saying, you hitting that trumpet call. That's a trumpet call is a totally different sound than a friction call.
Oh, yeah.
Totally different sound than a wing bone call.
Yeah, a lot of times it's got a hollow sound. It'll make it pop, but not this morning. They weren't in the mood this morning, but who knows? Tomorrow might be a different day.
Absolutely. And it changes day to day.
Oh, it does. That's what can be so frustrating, but so great about turkey hunting. One morning they're on fire, and the next morning they're not.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, there weren't any birds brought in here, and I hate it that happened that way this morning. But it definitely made me feel better because I was looking at Chris Davison and Caleb. And I'm like, man, these turkeys are hurting my feelings. I don't feel like I'm saying. I said I must have lost my West Virginia accent because these birds are not responding to me. But speaking of owls, it was funny. The lady that was just here giving an incredible demonstration on that. The hawk. The hawk that she had was really neat, but then she had an owl, and of course, I walked up and instinctively hooted at it, and the owl gave me a dirty look, and she's like, "Yeah, I'd appreciate it if you guys not hoot because they get territorial on that."
Really?
That owl looked like it wanted to rip my eyeballs out. So.
Oh my God!
I did not.
Oh yeah,
know
so
that.
There's a little tip for turkey hunters.
I didn't know
if you
that
see a
either.
live owl and there's a falconry person, don't owl hoot at it because the owl gets mad and the lady holding the owl gets mad too. So I learned my lesson.
Awesome.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah. So
like you saying, like I said, my hunt was a little bit different. We had turkeys.
Yeah. You said they were on fire.
They was on fire. We literally, when we got up on the top of the ridge and sat down, we was up there way before daylight. So we had time to sit down and relax a little bit, catch our breath from the freaking hike up.
Yeah.
And daylight broke, they started gobbling. We had 3 gobblers sounding off within 70 yards. Probably not even that far. I would almost call it 50 yards. We really literally walked right under them.
You heard 8 total, though, right?
Yeah, we heard 8 total. We had a couple behind us, a couple on another far ridge off to our right, and the 3 right in front of us. We got our decoys out. We set them up. We was like, man, this is hot. We're going to catch. We're going to get something. There's no doubt. We have to. They're right there. So, set our decoys out. Actually, it was Hunt Chef and myself with Tony as our guide. We all got set up. Mike was on camera filming us, and we had to move around a little bit to get lined up so we could both kind of be in position. If it come to a double, we was going to be able to take a double.
Yeah,
but
because he was using a bow.
No, he was not.
Oh, did he not use the bow?
No, if you talk to him, his crossbow broke on a trial run. The string snapped in half.
I thought he was.
He got a new one brought in today. It'll be here today. So,
okay, good.
Yeah, but we they was gobbling. We didn't even make a sound. We let them do their thing this morning. We didn't say nothing until we was set up and ready. We got our decoys out and we was set up ready. Hit a little tree call. Just all 3 of them blowed plumb up. I mean, it was perfect. It was my hair was standing up on my arms. I'm like, oh man, this is it. We got it.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
You're
man.
fixing to take a picture with a long beard in front of the Greenbrier.
It's like you're saying, Jason. You can hear them all day long like that, but it's about the chase. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like when we were coming back from our hunt, it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. We were driving back on the road, and we had 3 hens and a tom run right across the road and up the hill. So we pull over. My son's like, hey, let's chase it. Run and gun. Here we go. So him and Cam running up the hillside. They're trying to get in front of these birds. And, it's almost impossible to do that.
Yeah.
But my son was, he's young. He's ready to go and run. He was like, that was some great excitement. He was like, I love that.
That's
and I
awesome.
said, son, that's the key right there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I've always taught my son, it's not about the kill. It's
about the experience.
It's an extra icing on the cake, but it's about the experience, the camaraderie with your outdoorsman and your fellow brother in the outdoors, just spending time in God's country.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and like I was saying, we did the tree call, they gobbled. Did a fly down cackle, they gobbled. We shut up. We're like, that's all they need. They know we're here. Yeah. They're going to come straight to that decoy. When they hit the ground, they're going to be 20 yards in front of us. And that's not what
probably
happened.
had girlfriends that y'all didn't see.
They had
exactly what
plenty of
happened.
ladies today.
They went down the mountain instead of staying on the ridge.
I got lucky 2 mornings ago in Kentucky. No, let's see. What today? No, matter of fact, it was yesterday morning. And we had a hen tree calling behind us at about, it sounded about 75 yards. And we said, man, that's good. And then a bird gobbled to our left. And I was like, oh, man. But he wasn't hot, and he didn't answer my tree calls. But luckily she flew down to go see what she thought was her girlfriend out there.
Yeah.
He came out trying to hurt her like an old bull elk, and it didn't work out too good for him.
Yep. Well, Jason, we appreciate you coming on, sir.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm looking forward to listening to your all's podcast of y'all being locals from right there in Cross Lanes, West Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward, and it's certainly been great to meet y'all here under
definitely.
an incril environment.
Yes.
We'll definitely have to get back with you and talk to you some more, pick your brain some more.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Well, I appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you. Him mentioning about listening to us. Yeah, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on about 20 different outlets. So make sure you get on there and check us out. Check us out on Facebook, On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. And we'll be right back with another segment, I believe. If we still got a little bit of time, we've got to check and see how much time we got left here at this. So we'll be right back with another segment. Thank you guys for listening.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Backwater Truck Supply, located at 100 Armor Creek Road in Nitro, West Virginia, right across from the Town & Country Supply. Contact them today at 304-610-8699 or check them out at backwatertrucksupplywestvirginia.com. Backwater Truck Supply specializes in accessorying your ride to your liking, new or old. Does your Jeep or truck need lifted or a leveling kit installed? They've got you covered. new tires, or minor automotive repairs, they got you covered there as well, with a full-service lift along with a wheel balancing machine. They are affiliates with some of the top brands in the automotive industry. Contact them today at 304-610-8699 or check them out at backwatertrucksupply.westvirginia.com.